Hey guys, it's me, Julian Greystoke. I'm wearing my Firefly shirt because it has horses on it. See? Really don't have any clothing with horses on it, and that is depressing. And I should really do something about that. Today we are doing the much long-awaited video, Fiction is Wrong About Horses. So we're just gonna talk about all of the things that people get wrong about horses in books, movies, video games, all of it. So let's just get started with one of the things you see the most often, and that is horses in movies are always making noise. Seriously, it's like the movie creators don't think you'll realize it's a horse unless it's constantly making horse sounds. Horses, on the whole, are pretty damn quiet most of the time. Horses only really make noise if they want something or if they're calling a long distance to someone they like or to another horse. Otherwise, horse vocalizations are very limited. The most you will hear a horse do is that kind of noise. That's them just blowing stuff out of their nostrils. If something frightens them, in a movie you'll often see them whinnying and flailing around, but in reality they would be pretty quiet. A horse will scream if it's in pain, but those are like the 3 times that horses make noise. A big thing that you see in a lot of books and movies is that horses are essentially just cars with feet. They're interchangeable, they don't poop, they don't have personalities. It's just like, and then they hopped on a horse and they went somewhere, like it's a taxi cab. Horses come in a variety of shapes and sizes and have different jobs. For example, you can't just jump onto a horse who's only ever pulled a plow and ride away into the sunset. One, because that horse has no idea what you want and is probably scared now. And 2, because that horse is not going to ride away into the sunset very fast. There's a good chance that it is a big horse that is going to just sort of slowly plod you along into the sunset. Horses also have a huge variety of personalities, just like people do. They all have different likes and dislikes. Some of them are afraid of a lot of things, some of them are totally calm and cool, and there are a million variations in between. No 2 horses are going to behave exactly the same way. They also fall in different places in their pecking order. So if you're riding a bunch of horses together, it's important and helpful to know who is the head horse in this pecking order. Often it is a mare. So size does not matter to horses. A tiny little pony could boss around a Clydesdale. That's how we humans are able to work with them so easily, because even though we are significantly smaller to them, in the horse world that doesn't matter. It's all about attitude. Horses are easily frightened by the unknown, and you have to do a lot of desensitization to get a horse that can willingly go into unknown situations. So if you're writing a book and you're having a character whose horse has always been on this farm and is suddenly being asked to travel down this road that has never been down and go on all these adventures, there's a good chance that horse is going to be shitting itself scared the entire time. And a scared horse is a horse who's going to be acting out and showing off its worst habits, including trying to run away, whether you're on its back or not. In stories where characters who have never ridden horses before in their life hop on a horse and go galloping off. No. That 100% does not happen. 100%. There is no way an inexperienced rider is going to hop on the horse and feel even remotely comfortable doing anything besides a walk for their first time, and they are certainly not galloping off into the sunset. Horseback riding is a skill and you have to spend time learning it. Fun fact, horses do not always have to be wearing shoes. A lot of horses can go barefoot, as it's called, especially if they live in the country where they mostly walk on turf. If they're living in a place where they have to walk on hard surfaces like paved roads, then they probably need shoes. Also, horses don't need to have a saddle on to be ridden. However, riding bareback and riding with a saddle are fairly different from each other, so if your character is going to do both, they should have practiced both. Something else to consider for your story is that horses need to eat. Where are they getting their food? Are they grazing along the way, or has their rider packed grain for them? And if so, how is that grain being carried around? One thing you will notice in books is that writers often think that stallions are totally where it's at. That is untrue. While stallions can be kind of cool, you can get just as much bang for your buck with a mare or even a gelding. The problem with stallions is that they are driven first and foremost by one thing: their dick. Stallions want to breed. That's the most important thing to them. Stallions can be hard to train. They can be very willful because they are full of testosterone. And if there happens to be a mare in heat nearby, so long to your stallion, because that is where his focus is always going to be. But if you want a horse that is substantially sized and fearsome, a mare will do just fine. In the horse world, there is not as great a divide between the sexes and physical ability. Though geldings can often be a little bit more laid back, they are still very good at being awesome. So if you're thinking to yourself, well, this horse needs to be a badass and so he needs to be a stallion, remember that that horse is going to be a real problem for his rider some of the time. Another thing to remember is that horses poop. They poop. So is your character trying to be stealthy and riding his horse through terrain, trying not to be tracked by the enemy? Well, he probably is going to have to get on down and pick up his horse's poop, or the enemy is going to be able to follow it. Something else to think about as you're writing your story with horses in it is horse culture in your world. Where do horses fit into the culture, especially in a fantasy story? Have you got a Riders of Rohan situation where horses are really important to their culture? Or do they view horses as just more of like regular old livestock? It's really fun to play with and check out the different roles that horses could play in your world. And of course, it is always great to have a character who has a special bond with their horse, so definitely do a lot of research about horses and their personalities, and also remember that it does take a while to bond with a horse, just like it takes a while to bond with a person, so you can't just go find a horse and suddenly your character and that horse are best friends. It might take them a while. However, if they've been together for a long time, that horse will have a definite preference towards its owner. But it's going to take a lot of time, it's going to take a lot of bonding, and if that horse was to, say, die, that person is not going to be able to jump on another horse and have the same kind of results. So there you go, guys, that was my long-awaited video about how fiction gets horses wrong. Did you all find it helpful? Are there any other questions about horses that you would like to know? Comment below and let me know. If you have any questions about my horses, also drop me a comment. But I highly encourage you to flesh out your story that includes horses by making them as realistic as you can. Don't forget, everyone, that I post new videos Mondays and Fridays. All the links to my social media are in the doobly-doo, so go check those out. And I will see you again next time with whatever it is I happen to be doing next time. Bye!